Alrighty, here we go. Here is the official walkthrough of the Addams Family Christmas Lights 2016. Brief edition and detailed edition, hopefully. So, we will start right over here, right at the mega tree. It is awesome, and the mega star is awesome. We completely redid the mega star this year to where now it's actually awesome. So that's a welded steel frame, 5 concentric stars there, and it looks awesome. Then we got a custom ring at the top to mount all of the mega tree strands to. It is 73 pixels tall, 16 strands wide, right around a foot spacing at the bottom. I can't remember exactly how tall it is. I want to say it's about 18 feet is the length of each strip. So there's the mega tree. Then we've got the Johnson arches, obviously. So, yep, those are pretty nice. Just a standard Johnson style arch with your rebar cap and conduit. Except they do have WS2812s inside, which has been causing us massive problems. So we're going to be changing that. So here's our Coro candy canes, inspired by holiday Coro style candy canes. Except we just custom built them. I just drew them up myself and just custom built them. So just a Coro, white Coro with black division Coros in there. So we got them on both sides of the driveway. Then we'll move on here to the first of the geometric shapes here. The squares, as I call them. They can also be presents. So we got 5 of these lined up, as you can see here. So you can do really cool effects with these. You can turn them into presents. You can turn them into like Simon Says things. You can do horizontal lines. You can do arrows. All kinds of crazy effects you can do on these things. So they're really cool. So again, on these, here's a sneak peek at the back side. Used our 1/2-inch square tube steel, welded it all together, and that is how those are built and assembled. So those work out really good. Then right behind those we have our Starbursts. So built the same way, welded steel frame, menagerie of wires in the back for all the power injection on the back side. Alright, so here we have the triangles. So it's designed around a Sierpinski triangle, so a fractal, except it has this extra small triangle on the inside here, just so that we can do extra effects with it, because we can just hide that one in the middle and then we can do extra things. So these triangles are crazy. You can do all kinds of ridiculous effects on them. You can isolate it to just the big triangle, you can do this medium triangle, you can do the small triangles, you can do layers of triangles, you can do chases around the triangles, you can do arrows, you can do lines, you can do... They're just ridiculous. The possibilities on these triangles are almost endless. Like, I was designing submodels for these things for days and still was coming up with new ones. They are ridiculously cool. You can do crazy things with them. Alrighty, then here we have the mini pixel trees. They're 9 by 33. And then we have our custom CNC'd star here on top. CNC'd that out of a piece of MDF to mount those. This was back before we were welding steel. But it works out really good. They just aren't quite as long lasting, you know, they're made out of wood. So those are pretty straightforward, just a small version of the mega tree. We got 3 of those. Those work out really nice. Then of course, well, he's not lit up right now, but we have Santa, so he lights up. Give you kind of a close-up here so you can see how he did it. You can see down on the bottom. So it's just some RGB strip. We put a piece of like 3-inch Coro around the perimeter of him and then mounted the RGB strip around it so he can light up so you can see him. So that's really nice. And then the snowflakes. Oh man, the snowflakes. The snowflakes are incredible. You can do insane effects with the snowflakes. They are awesome. So the same style of construction, 1/2-inch square tube steel welded all together. So they took a lot of time to cut all the angles and get them lined up perfect. But they are ridiculously cool. You can do awesome things with the snowflakes. They're way cool. Love them. Then the house. So again, this is the trick we learned, is this 1/2-inch square tube steel. So we mounted them all on there, perfectly spaced. And using the steel allows us to do things like this garage border here and it looks straight when you're looking at it from the front, like from far back. You can see the one on the left there, how as you get further away it looks straight, but when you're up close, because if we'd mounted them here, just flat along the inside of the brick here, you wouldn't be able to see them from up the road there, from the optimum viewing angle. So that's how come we had to cut them, bend them, and mount them like that, so that you can see them from all the angles out on the road. Then we have the awesome P10 panels, the P10 matrices, 7x7, so 49 P10 panels in each one. And those took like a month to build those things. Those are a welded steel frame, aluminum mounting structure, polycarbonate front. We've got some 2-inch square tube steel legs holding them up, and driven by a BeagleBone Black. And they're just ridiculously cool. That's how we can do the nice faces, and you can do cool effects. I mostly use them for faces because I don't want them to be just a giant TV, you know. But they also, oh, they do really good for like a snow falling effect because the pixels are so big. Yeah, you can do some nice effects on those for sure. Then we got the little P10 panel here, 3x3. We've been using it as a tune-to sign, an extra one. Then we have the little manger scene, a little wood cutout one. Then we have the bullet matrix, 24x48 pixels, 2 more snowflakes. That one's just mounted in a pixel net there, PVC frame. So that was the first matrix we built last year. So we still keep it around for legacy. Then here is the piano. So it has its, oh yeah, don't mind my crappy controller box enclosure. It's a garbage bag at the moment. Yep, it's a garbage bag. But it works. I don't mind, as long as it works. Oh, it's not lit up right now. So there's the piano. It's a Bet George style piano, inspired by him. We'd been doing pianos for years, just out of like LED strips, and before that it was just mini lights, and before that it was even crappier mini lights, and nobody could tell what it was, but now you can definitely tell it's a piano. HDPE covering, RGB strip in each key. It's MDF construction. I have a whole blog post up about that. The only problem we ran into is different manufacturers of RGB strip. You can see how some of the keys are obviously green and like bluer than others. And we tried calibrating them. We tried tuning up the piano, right? Try to dial down certain colors of individual keys to get them to balance out white, but you just can't do it. It's a physically different green that's being produced. So next year we are going to replace those so we get a really nice even white, because you can tell, like it looks about like this in real life if it's all on white. 3 octaves of piano. And then we get to the piece of all pieces for this year, the odd vent pyramid, and it's rotating right now, as you can see. So let's get a close-up on how this monstrosity works. It had to be collapsible. We had to build it collapsible and assemblable, because there is no way we have room to store this thing. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's insane. I'm going to turn it off spinning now for a minute so we can tell what's going on here. So we have 3 bases, 3 welded hexagons here. There's that one, there's that layer, there's that layer. Actually, there's 4. There's one up at the very top there too. So that's the main structure of it. Then there's all these verticals, as I call them, so 6 verticals in between each layer of hexagon. Those are mounted solid, and the whole thing is staked into the ground solid. Then, on top of these 2 layers, we have the spinning platforms. So to make it look good, we actually put pixels facing outward and pixels facing inward, so that the whole disc lights up at night. And then we can do cool chases around the outside as well. And we actually even put a couple on the very center there too. This circle is like this one. So there's a big old monster bearing. So the whole structure is built around this giant steel pipe that runs up the whole thing, right? So there's giant steel bearings. So the bearings are mounted to these fixed ones. So that's what just provides the pole stability and something to run true in. So the spinning layer has that piece of steel pipe right there, and you can see those set screws, so they clamp it to the pipe. So that's how the spinning layers actually move, is they're clamped to the steel pipe. So the whole pipe is rotating, and all these things that spin, so the bottom layer, this layer, and the fan blades up top are clamped to the pole, to the pipe running up the column. Then we obviously have all the figures and the candlesticks that are mounted to all that coming out here. And then as far as control goes, so we had to add the control box up on top because it actually has to spin. If you think about it for a second, it actually has to spin with it, because electricity, like, we can't just magically have an extension cord running up through here and just twisting and twisting and twisting and twisting. It eventually just get twisted up forever, right? The trick on how we got around that is that mystical little device. It's called a slip ring. Alright, so here's our slip ring for the bottom of the odd vent pyramid. So we've got our 120 volts AC, and I got it soldered into the end of the slip ring wires. So as you can see, as I spin this mystical slip ring, my wires up here are spinning around with the sprocket, but the ones down below over here stay perfectly still. So that's how we're transferring power up to the very top. So that's the mystical device. So we have power that's actually running up through the center of the pole and then coming out to the control box there. Then that control box is then plugged into these fan blades, and then it runs data and controls back to this spinning level and this spinning level. So that's how we're able to control the spinning parts. It took a bit of thinking to figure that one out, but once you wrap your brain around it, it's not bad. Then the drivetrain of this thing is what's been a nightmare to get working properly. So we have an electric brushless outrunner motor that I used to use on my electric mountain board that I home built. So that's what is the motor for the system. Power starts here, power runs over to this big sprocket. I'm shaking, I'm shivering. Goes down the shaft, runs over to the big shaft right there. So it's geared down like 50 times so that we can have enough torque to be able to actually drive this system, because it takes a lot of torque to be able to drive it. So that, my friends, is the gist of how it works. Thanks so much for watching, and look forward to some new detailed videos of each piece coming soon.